student life. You don't actually live off your own money yet. Maybe your parents send you a little bit each month, or you scrape by on a scholarship, or you pick up small jobs here and there. But either way, it's not enough for a full and balanced life. Most of your meals come from the cheapest food you can find. Instant noodles, cheap canned food, or whatever's on sale at the corner store. When you go out with friends, you're the one pretending you're not hungry because you can't afford the restaurant. At night, you might count loose change just to see if you can buy a simple snack tomorrow. This stage doesn't always feel like real poverty because you usually still have a roof over your head, thanks to your parents or a student dorm. But you are not living independently. There's no savings account, no safety net. If your parents lose their jobs or if you get sick, you're immediately exposed. The only thing that keeps you going is hope that finishing your studies and getting a real job will finally let you escape this early stage of brokenness. Low-paying job. You didn't finish your degree, or maybe the opportunities just aren't there, so now you are working a job for minimum wage. The paycheck barely covers food and rent, and saving money is not an option. Every month is the same exhausting race to survive until the next paycheck arrives. When the fridge breaks or you need medicine, there is no solution except borrowing, and life feels like running a marathon without water, hoping you will not collapse before the finish line. Being stuck in a low-paying job is exhausting in a way that is hard to explain to people who haven't lived it. You are working, but you don't feel like you are building anything. The money you earn vanishes almost instantly on rent, food, bills, and transportation. By the end of the first week, you already know that every paycheck is spoken for before it even arrives. You dream about little things such as buying new shoes or going on a weekend trip, but the truth is, those dreams feel out of reach. Every desire gets pushed aside for maybe next year. It feels like a hamster wheel, where you are moving fast, but going nowhere. Outsiders might think at least you have a job, but you feel the crushing weight of working full-time and still never being secure. Vacations, hobbies, or savings accounts don't exist in this world. Only the countdown to the next rent payment. Even when you want to rest, your brain keeps whispering that one mistake could undo everything. Each day blends into the next, and there is no light at the end of the tunnel. Poverty. Now you are officially poor. You don't choose between luxuries and basic needs, but between two basics. Do you pay the electricity bill or do you buy bread? Children grow up in the same scarcity, education becomes limited, and the way out of the cycle grows harder with each generation. Life feels like a prison without walls where you can walk around, but there is no exit. Here the choices get brutal. Imagine standing in a store with only a few dollars in your pocket. Do you buy medicine for your child, or do you buy food for the whole family? Either way, someone loses. Poverty is more than just not having money. It is about not having choices. The world feels locked, and the keys are held by people far above you. Education for the kids is too expensive. Better housing is impossible. Even simple joys like a birthday cake feel like luxuries you can't justify. Over time, this constant pressure builds into a cycle, because without resources you can't climb to a better life. It's like trying to climb out of a pit with walls coated in grease, where every attempt to rise just sends you sliding back down. And because poverty drains your energy daily, even the thought of long-term planning feels impossible. You live moment to moment, handcuffed by the limits of survival. When you finally think you have gained ground, one sudden bill drags you back under again. It is a loop that seems endless, a game rigged so you can never win. Extreme poverty. Here there are no more illusions. This means living on less than $2 a day, no running water, no regular meals, and your health breaking down piece by piece. A simple illness can become a serious risk because doctors and medicine are out of reach. Every day is a battle just to survive until tomorrow. This is no longer life. It is only keeping your heartbeat going. At this stage, brokenness becomes pure survival. You are not worried about Wi-Fi or your phone bill. You are worried about finding safe water and enough food to fill your stomach. Meals are uncertain. Sometimes it is rice. Sometimes it is just a piece of bread. Clothes are worn until they are falling apart, and shoes are patched together again and again. If you get sick, it can mean weeks of struggling without proper care. The idea of a future fades away because all your energy goes into surviving the present day. Each sunrise feels like both a victory and a reminder that another hard day has begun. This is survival in its rawest and most brutal form. Even joy disappears, and you stop laughing, planning, or dreaming because every ounce of strength belongs to survival. The worst part is that no one outside this world can truly imagine what it feels like, which makes the struggle almost invisible. But even here, at least you still have a roof above your head, a thin shield against the world outside. Debt slave. Some people manage to escape poverty, but then they fall into debt. Banks, credit cards, payday lenders, even borrowing from relatives, all of these become a heavy chain. Your salary is never really yours because it is already swallowed up by payments. Every phone call could be a debt collector. Instead of working for your life, you are working for interest. Debt is a trap that feels invisible at first. Maybe you borrowed for a car or took a loan to cover rent after losing a job. At the time it feels manageable, you will pay it back next month. But suddenly, the interest grows like a monster, and no matter how much you pay, the debt barely shrinks. Collectors start calling, letters show up, and your stress level explodes. You can't sleep because in your head, the numbers chase you, asking how much do I owe and how long until I am ruined. Brokenness here is not just about money, it is mental. You feel like a prisoner to numbers on a screen. Every paycheck belongs to someone else before it even touches your hands. Soon, you start making desperate decisions, borrowing from one card to pay another, asking relatives for help even when you know they are tired of it. Debt becomes an invisible cage, shrinking your world until every thought is about what you owe. The guilt grows heavy, and you start to wonder if you will ever feel free again. Life becomes one long apology, and even sleep brings no escape. Rock bottom. Now even the roof over your head disappears. Eviction, unpaid bills, and possessions repossessed. It feels like your whole life has collapsed. Friends vanish because you owe them money, and family begins to distance themselves out of shame. The loss is not only material but deeply human. Self-respect, security, trust, all of it is gone. This is when brokenness fully collapses into despair. It is not just bills anymore. It is eviction notices, court letters, repossession. The car is gone, the furniture is gone, and the house is no longer yours. You begin to see how fragile everything was. Relationships strain because you are constantly borrowing and constantly apologizing. Friends stop answering your calls. Family might still care, but even they begin to pull away, exhausted by your need. At this stage, the hardest part is not losing things, it is losing dignity. When you look in the mirror, you see someone you barely recognize. Someone beaten down. The shame cuts deeper than the poverty itself. It is like your identity has been stripped away, leaving you only with fear and exhaustion. And every day, the question in your mind becomes louder, asking how much lower can I go? When you think you have reached the bottom, life somehow finds another way to dig deeper. Even the smallest hope starts to feel like a cruel joke. Couch surfing. Before you end up on the street, you move from couch to couch, staying with friends or relatives. You have no address, no privacy, and you constantly feel like a burden. Every phrase such as, "you can stay a few more days," stabs like a knife. Your life has turned into a temporary solution one day at a time. This stage is homelessness in disguise. You are not yet sleeping on the street, but you don't have a home either. You pack your belongings into a bag, moving from one couch to another. Each time you promise just a few days, but deep down, you don't know where you will go next. Privacy disappears because you are always in someone else's space. The small things such as having your own bed or a key to your own door become distant memories. And the worst part is the constant guilt. Every smile from your host feels heavy, and every sigh feels like a countdown to when you will be asked to leave. You stop unpacking your things because you know you will soon have to leave again. It is like living in a constant goodbye where home is always temporary and never truly yours. In this fragile stage, you rely only on the few friends who haven't turned their backs, clinging to their kindness as your last shield from the streets. But even that kindness has limits, and eventually you realize you are only one step away from complete exposure. Homeless. The final stage of collapse. You sleep in a park, a shelter, or under a bridge. Everything you own fits into a bag or backpack. Food comes from trash bins or soup kitchens. People look through you as if you don't exist. Fear, cold, and hunger become your constant companions. Here, brokenness is no longer only financial. It becomes physical and spiritual. It is the complete loss of a place in society. This is the end of the ladder. Life on the street is brutal. Days are long and nights are cold. You are constantly exposed to the weather, to danger, and to the stares of people who don't want to see you. Hunger is constant and safety is uncertain. Sometimes you get food from a shelter, sometimes from a trash bin. The possessions you carry are everything you own. Every day is survival, but also invisibility. Society looks through you as if you are not even human anymore. At this level, brokenness is total. It is not just a lack of money, but a lack of belonging and a lack of hope. It is the place no one ever thinks they will reach until they do. The cruelest part is that climbing back out becomes nearly impossible because without an address, a job, or stability, society rarely gives you a second chance. Even if you find work, the stigma follows you, and rebuilding feels like carrying a mountain on your shoulders. For many, the fight becomes less about living and more about simply enduring another day.